with this very elegant lady who can persuade you to do anything she wants you to do. And I also think she's one of these trendsetters, because every time I see her wearing something in the way of jewelry, and I know we have some important jewelers in this room, Italian style, it then just proliferates. It seems like it's everywhere. So she's truly a wonderful ambassador for Italy, for the Foreign Policy Association, and for many other good causes.
Lateef was knighted by the Italian government thanks to the good offices of the Italian Consul General, Noel, we have gone a long time since I first took you to Venice to the annual meeting of the Council for the United States and Italy in 2009, and I lost the heel of my shoe in the middle of St. Mark's Square. Young junior officers. We applied in 2000. We passed the test in 800. By the way, this was a multiple choice test that in Italy was not known. But there is a funny story about it. The president of the committee told me later there was one question that none of the 2,000 people, including me, got it right. What is Tagalog? We thought it was a sport, a perfume, some food. Because in Italy, in those days, we were all white and Catholics.
Thank you so much. Your Excellencies, Carissima Dama Giosetta Capriati, President Noel Lateef, to the board and the members of the Foreign Policy Association, to the renowned chef Nicola Fiasconato, artist of pastry, distinguished guests, dear all, I greet you in peace. Peace is the noble purpose of the United Nations. Peace is the fervent desire of every woman and every girl. UNFPA serves in over 150 countries of this world. Let me begin by thanking you, Mr. President Lateef, for the institution that we know as the Foreign Policy Association. This opportunity to speak with you this evening as we inaugurate the Dame Giosetta Capriati Distinguished Lecture Series on Women's Empowerment is a signal of how you carry your important work beyond the association over the more than 100 years of your existence. You provide a forum for balanced and informed discussion. I believe that this is part of what leads to having a balanced and informed public discourse as you help us to understand global issues. And this is indeed an increasingly fragmented and polarized world. Such platforms as FPA provide that informed debate that we need, and that's certainly more vital than ever. Let me say that global solidarity and understanding depend upon people. It depends on us. And as we look at the world, some of us see connections that others might miss. Determination to make the world a better place. And the formidable woman for whom this inaugural lecture is named, Dame Giosetta Capriati, is an inspirer of hope. She is someone who speaks up and also strategizes. Not to embellish around the edges, but actually to make the world better for simple women and girls who may never know her name, but will certainly benefit from her generosity. So certainly, I am deeply honored to be here to deliver the inaugural lecture. and the empowerment of women is my theme. It's Women's History Month. It's the right topic, and this is the right moment. So, in the midst of the mud and the rain, where women of the world stood up and declared that women's rights are human rights. And this is a rallying cry that has echoed across the globe, and it still resonates to this day. The Beijing Women's Conference followed on the heels of the conference in Cairo in 1994, the International Conference on Population and Development. And that was another critical milestone on the march for women's rights, women's respect and empowerment. I was there in Cairo as well, and I remember the idealism and the ambition that was in the air as world leaders pronounced that reproductive rights are human rights and they belong to all of us. The ICPD Program of Action recognized that equitable access to sexual and reproductive health services, particularly for women and adolescent girls, not to be overlooked, would drive gender equality, would drive women's empowerment, and would also drive countries' economic growth, which makes sense. The development will accrue when half the world's population is invested in. Now have laws on the books that address domestic violence, that challenge the idea that might alone makes right. And then since 1990, the number of women able to use modern contraception to plan their lives better has doubled. Yes, cause for celebration, mothers are safer, babies are healthier, more women and couples can decide freely whether or not to have children, and more girls are staying in school, and they're avoiding child marriage. Unfortunately, though, I have to say the progress has stalled. Today, in some places, it's actually going in the wrong direction, and there are too many women and girls who continue to be left, if not pushed, behind. And sadly, inequalities between countries and within countries are widening. COVID, right? That pandemic, conflicts, humanitarian crises, economic turbulence. All of these are causing setbacks for women and girls, and the climate crisis and other emerging challenges are looming in the background. Every day, I guess, as I arise, I ask the following question: why? Why is there such powerful pushback against the idea that women and girls have equal rights? And women in all their diversities, in particular for reproductive rights, face rampant opposition, and this is undermining the decades of progress that we've seen. Did you know that today, 2/3 of people live in a country with below replacement fertility? Women to step away for patriotic reasons, end quote, to put their careers on hold in order to have children. So whether you're dwelling in South Korea with a replacement rate under 1.8 at the moment, or in Niger, which has the world's highest fertility rate of 7 children per woman on average, the importance of your life, the importance of your ability to be listened to, this is your expectation. And to me, this is the example of Dame Giosetta, listening to women so we discern what they want is powerful. This is game-changing. Within the halls of the United Nations, the long-standing agreed language on gender, on diversity, on inclusion, on accessibility for people with disabilities, for sexual and reproductive health and rights, all of this is increasingly coming into question and under attack, and it's a hostility. It's a hostility which is organized, often very well funded, and it's careless. It's not care, it's uncaring, and it is relentless. To me, the fight for gender equality is not just for women, it's for our sons. It's for fathers to be able to proudly stand up for their daughters. And it's not a battle of the past. It's a battle of the here and now, and we have to be ready to be able to debate things together. Allow me to quote the neurobiologist and Nobel laureate, Dr. Rita Levi-Montalcini. She overcame struggles and discrimination and hardship, as you can imagine, on the path to her scientific breakthroughs and success. And she offered the following advice. Above all, don't fear difficult moments. The best comes from them. So it's a reminder in times such as these, because despite all the turmoil, UNFPA and our partners, because we're part of an ecosystem that looks after women and girls in pregnancy and also facing the type of gender-based violence that breaks my heart. Whether in a conflict zone, whether in a stressed family, since the time of Methuselah and the cavemen and whatever, this idea that women can be subjected to abuse has to change. And I take my hat off to the young generation and to the guys in the young generation, those sportsmen, those figures who are saying, it ends with us, so to speak. Sure that our commitment to upholding women's rights will be fierce enough based upon, again, listening to the communities where our understanding of needs is deep. The intellectual heft and bringing evidence to bear has to be strong. And let us be willing. Let us be the one who's willing to defend the rights and choices of people and to be steadfast. The pushback against women's autonomy often targets people who are least able to resist, whether they're on the margins, whether they're people of sexual diversities, whether they're facing intersecting forms of discrimination based on race or ethnicity, or gender identity or disability. And we must be vigilant in respecting every person's rights. And money matters. Money certainly matters, and here too, big challenges ahead, uncertainties about donor investments, and most notably the recent abrupt, unheralded, unprecedented terminations of funding for major global health and humanitarian work, which affects the community as a whole and certainly UNFPA. The well-being of millions of women and girls caught up in catastrophes, especially in humanitarian